the effects of COVID-19, well, they're still being felt everywhere, aren't they? Including in complex areas like workers' compensation.
Absolutely. It's had such a long tail.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into a really important report on this from Healthy Systems. They focus on healthcare research and analytics. The report's called In the Long Run: How Long COVID Impacts Workers' Compensation.
And it highlights something quite paradoxical: actual number of long COVID cases showing up in workers' comp claims. Relatively low.
Okay.
But, and this is the crucial part, their impact. It's huge,
Yeah.
disproportionately significant, very costly.
So, few cases, big problems.
Precisely. And that's what we're going to unpack, why this happens and what it means for care and getting people back to work.
Right. So maybe start with the basics. What exactly is long COVID?
Sure. So long COVID, it's also known as post-COVID conditions. It's basically a chronic condition,
Chronic meaning?
meaning it can stick around for weeks, months, sometimes even years after the initial COVID infection.
Wow, years.
Yeah, and the symptoms can be tricky. They might fade and then, frustratingly, come back again.
And the CDC lists, what, over 200 possible symptoms? But there are some common ones people might recognize.
Definitely. Things like brain fog, that difficulty concentrating. Persistent fatigue is a big one.
Right, feeling exhausted all the time.
Exactly. And post-exertional malaise, PEM, which is key.
That's where symptoms get worse after effort, right? Even minor effort.
That's it. Physical or even mental exertion can trigger it. And then, of course, you have respiratory issues like ongoing shortness of breath.
Okay, so it's complex. Now, you mentioned the paradox, low numbers, high impact. Let's look at that data.
Yeah, the numbers really tell the story. So the WCRI, that's the Workers' Compensation Research Institute, they found long COVID only showed up in about 6% of national COVID-19 workers' comp claims.
6%. That sounds, well, pretty low on the surface.
It does, doesn't it? But then you look deeper. Take California, for instance. Between 2020 and 2022, long COVID cases accounted for 82.1%, 82% of all the COVID treatment payments.
82%. From just 6% of claims nationally. That's staggering.
It is. That's $105.5 million just in California. And look at New York, 18% of workers with long COVID couldn't return to work for over a year.
The whole year out of work.
Yeah. And here's another really telling statistic. Think about the workers who needed ICU care for COVID.
Okay, the most severe cases.
Right, which was actually less than 1% of all the COVID claims, tiny fraction.
Uh-huh.
But among those workers, a massive 74% went on to get treatment for long COVID.
74%. So severe initial illness is a huge risk factor.
It seems to be, yes. It really shows the potential for severe long-term consequences.
Okay, let's unpack this. What are the specific ways long COVID impacts workers' compensation claims and recovery? How does it drive up costs and time off?
Well, several things are going on. For one, long COVID can actually prolong the healing of the primary injury itself. It seems to be linked to excessive inflammation and sort of a disturbed immune system response. This just slows down recovery, extending how long the claim stays open.
Okay, so longer healing times. What else?
We also see multi-organ injuries: lungs, heart, kidneys, liver.
You mentioned the ICU connection earlier.
Exactly. And those individuals seem more likely to develop long COVID. This creates huge challenges for pharmacy management.
Medication issues. That makes sense. The WCRI actually found that respiratory meds were a big part of prescriptions in COVID claims, right?
They did. From early 2021 to early 2023, half the prescriptions in COVID claims were for respiratory issues.
So how does the multi-organ damage complicate things?
Well, think about common medications used in workers' comp. Many have potential side effects or warnings related to the very organs damaged by severe COVID.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, so opioids. They often carry a boxed warning, the strongest kind for respiratory depression. Critical if someone already has lung damage.
Right, very dangerous.
Then you have non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They have warnings about serious cardiovascular events, plus they can affect kidney function. Again, risky if those organs are compromised.
And even common painkillers.
Even acetaminophen has a boxed warning for potential liver failure. So managing these medications requires incredibly careful clinical review because of these potential drug-disease interactions.
Wow. Okay. Beyond the organ damage and medication complexity, what about getting back to work?
That's another major hurdle. That muscle weakness and the post-exertional malaise we talked about,
The PEM, yeah.
it makes returning to work really difficult, especially, for jobs that are physically demanding.
I can imagine. Walking across a factory floor could be exhausting.
Exactly. The CDC stresses that people need prolonged reconditioning, a really gradual reintroduction to activity and work tasks. You can't just jump back in.
And there are legal considerations too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Long COVID can qualify as a disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, which means employers may need to provide reasonable accommodations. Things like extra rest breaks, modified duties, maybe changes to the workspace. It adds another layer of complexity to managing the return to work process.
So given all this, the extended healing, the medication challenges, the return to work hurdles, the ADA aspect, what does this mean for actually managing these cases going forward? What strategies are needed?
It really calls for a multi-pronged approach. First off, everyone involved, claims managers, clinicians, needs to stay absolutely current with the research. It's still evolving.
Right. Keep learning.
Understanding the potential disability status under ADA is crucial for providing those reasonable accommodations we mentioned. And return to work plans. They need to be flexible, often much more gradual than usual, really individualized.
Can managed care programs help?
Definitely. Leveraging managed care tools is key. Think highly configurable formularies, medication lists that can adapt to these complex patient needs.
To avoid those drug interactions.
Precisely. And high-touch clinical review processes are essential. Having pharmacists and nurses closely involved to spot potential issues. Predictive analytics might also help flag cases early that are likely to need more intensive management.
So it sounds like vigilance, flexibility, and really robust clinical oversight are paramount.
That sums it up well.
So wrapping this up, it seems long COVID is a stark reminder, really, a condition hitting a smaller percentage of workers' comp claims.
Yeah, relatively small numbers.
But still having this massive, complex impact on everything: costs, recovery times, and people's lives.
It really underscores how interconnected everything is in these cases.
It does.
And maybe it leaves you, the listener, with this thought. What can the long shadow cast by long COVID teach us? How do we need to adapt our support systems, not just for this, but for other chronic, complex conditions, especially as, new health challenges inevitably emerge down the road?